Well, hello again, YouTube. It's PD2 Fair. You want to see some pictures from the remote? So today's September 27th, and coming up on Rob Fetter's birthday, Mr. Jingle himself. Also, well, R.I.P. Chris Arduser. Today is the anniversary of the passing of the late, great Chris Arduser. Gone but not forgotten. So, heading south over the Lamont Road Bridge into town, there was a Charlie Kirk memorial, and we noticed when we were leaving there was people there. They were burning candles, there was people gathered. Not a lot of people, but yeah, there was people there. Nazis! Kidding. To each their own, you know. This system is broken. We've been lied to. I feel bad. People really were hopeful, I think. Initially, when Trump first came in and said he was going to drain the swamp, and then it's like, oh, this is more of the same, is it? Is this another politician who's just lining his pockets? I mean, the stuff with the right, it does seem like they only want to take care of the rich, like the tax breaks and this. And then you look at the other side, and it's like all this corruption, and the cities that they run are really in bad shape. So it's just like none of this is good, you know. And the fighting between the people, us. I tried to explain one time how in church they preach that the baby is aborted and that blood is shed on the ground, and it cries out. It screams to God for vengeance, and then eventually God is going to pour out his wrath on that, for destroying innocent life. So people in a church, they hear this stuff and they're like, oh, there's only one, like the voting, it goes as far as the abortion thing, and automatically that's how they're going to vote. And I tried explaining this to somebody, and they attacked me for being a Christian right winger. I was trying to explain, like, I'm not saying this is right or good. I'm saying maybe you don't consider that these people are taught this. They believe it, since their youth.
That's like when John Lennon said the Beatles were more important than Jesus, or that it was like people were treating them like that. He wasn't saying that, but he was saying that's how people are giving them, importance over it. Same thing. You're trying to explain something. You weren't saying it's your belief or not, but this is what those people believe.
Right. I think it was more popular, I think is what he was saying. And it was true. Yeah. It was true. It says something about the state of the church at that time. But, then you hear like, well, Tavistock Institute, the Beatles were really like the Monkees. They didn't write any of their own songs. They were all plants, Who knows? So yeah, Charlie Kirk monument. Really sad. And then all the videos about this is a setup and the guy didn't do it. It's like, will this ever end? So yeah, back to the remote. Bunch of semi-trailers parked and all of the parking spots taken. Apparently, in my opinion, these are employees of the Forge. And they should not be taking those parking spots. I'm sorry. who is parking the semis? It's multiple semis parked there. And is this like, is this a temporary thing, or is this the guy who owns it I'm just going to park semis there? Because this is not his land. This is the park. They stole the the garbage can and replaced it with a 55-gallon.
Well, 2 of them were there, and they replaced them with one.
And now it reeks. It stinks. So I had to move this can. I don't know. It's just a bunch of. This is the canal, and there's a bunch of this area here. No, that's hard to see, but there's algae, and the algae is not popular with fishermen, which is good for us, because if there's a bunch of people fishing, they tend to just want to fish right where we are, and it's like they'll have their truck and I'm gonna crank it up. It's like, we've got a 600-watt PA, guys. You're not gonna win with your stock stereo. So this is where we park the Toyota. This is part of the walk. We have to carry the gear. It's not a bad, it's a good hump. And we do have little carts. So today I was using the Grande rig, using this Moore Ocean machine, which is a dual delay with stereo reverb. So it's 2 stereo echo units and a stereo reverb. This is a battery pack. This is a processor for my little amp. I have a private amp, and then the main system is the stereo, the PA speakers. So the guitar is stereo with the stereo echo in the main, and then there's this little processor that's just like the clean tone on a little amp that's really loud. So that's mono, and then there's a different system with the stereo. So I have a expression pedal here. Basically, let's see if we can get a better picture of this. Here's the echo unit. This is the Moore Ocean machine. This is a battery pack running it. This is the Vailton GP5, and that's an amp modeler multi-effect. It's $80 and it sounds phenomenal. So this is powered off of a little phone charger bank that's not pictured here yet, but the guitar goes to a active splitter box where the signal is cloned. So now there's 2 guitar cables coming out. One goes to this guy, and then this guy goes to the little amp with the speaker right sitting next to me is my own personal crank it up loud guitar that doesn't have the stereo effects, the ping pong, bouncing around echoes and reverb. That's this blue box, and then the main system. So it splits. One line goes in here, and then that goes out to the amp. The other line comes up here and goes into this black one. And that has a loop with these 2 boost pedals, custom built. There's a treble booster and a bass booster. So this pedal here adjusts the mix level of the echoes and the reverb. And there's a little knob on the side that I added. I modified this with a toggle and a resistor with a pot. So I can tweak my toe down maximum, meaning I don't want to have to really like carefully set the volume. And when I have it toe down all the way down, I don't want to have it 100%. That's way too much echo. So I can just adjust with my little tweaker. And if I want to have it normal operation, which I never do, I can hit the toggle switch and the mod goes bye-bye. See how that works? I had Adrian Ballou get him, like, he was like, no, never mod it. That's supposed to be like that. And I was like, well, then you hit the switch and the mod goes away. See how that works? So yeah, The signal comes into the MG30, which is a phenomenal amp modeler and effector. It's got a dual ping ponger delay. So it's 2 echo units and one that they bounce back and forth. And it's all tap tempoed in advance. It's all programmed. So the echoes are in time with the beat of the song, which is really important and makes it sound great. And it's got a stereo reverb too. So there's 3 scenes per patch, and I can change everything and anything in those scenes. So I use it to like turn on a phase shifter, change delays. Oftentimes I will pair ping pong delays with a panner and really get some motion going. If I run everything, there's a dual ping pong with a panner delay, and then I like to run spring reverb in this unit. But it comes out of here stereo and goes into that Ocean machine, which has 2 more stereo ping pong delays. That there's all kinds of options for those models. Some really cool stuff, and then another stereo reverb. So it's 5 echo units and 2 stereo reverbs is what I'm using. So this is why it's important to have the mix control on my foot. So I can set it at 40% toe down maximum. It's subtle. And at parts of the song where I'm really playing quickly, I can back it out and the echoes go away. It kind of comes in, seems like it comes in a little more intimate. And then when you dip in with the echo and reverb, it gets more cavernous and spacious. Mind you, I'm running wet, dry, wet, and there's this other amp that's clean that doesn't have all that mucky muck. So signal goes into the splitter box, not pictured. It gets cloned. 1 cable goes to the input of this. It comes out of this, goes into the amp. The other signal goes into the master effect controller. There's a loop for my analog boosts. I have a Brian May treble booster. It's actually a Greg Fry. It's called an 83 because 1983 Brian May stopped using Rangemaster, which I love Rangemasters. This one, it's a little more full frequency, but it's still, it kills your low end. So I use this red pedal, has volume, clean gain, treble, and bass. And I have the bass set high on that. That's the job of the red pedal. The white pedal is the treble booster, and this gives you a really pleasant type of breakup. It's not distortion. It's just really sweet guitar tone. Like I use a lot of Vox AC30 amp models. So master volume on the NUX. Then I have my mix for the Ocean machine, which I'm working that. This switcher here, I can bypass the Ocean machine with the 4th toggle. The first toggle is a universal global tap tempo. So before the song starts, there's 2 triangle, like a ding dong, that announces that there'll be this, sounds like the drummer clacking his sticks. Click, 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 click. And that's the tempo of the next piece of music. So when I hear that, I will hit the foot switch, and this will set the tap tempo of the echo unit in time with the next piece of music. So I'm always in sync. Like there is memory on this thing, but not really enough for the entire set. So that's the way I do it, and it works fine. My wife is using the Boss GT1B. She's got a little phone charger, and then I don't know if you can see that. There is, I guess we can go full screen. You don't need to see my face, do ya? So here, this is the little 10,000 mAh lithium ion phone charger power bank. These are expensive. We get them at Goodwill. Typically pay $2 and they're dead. I'll take them home and recharge them, and they're always fine. I've never gotten a dead one from, used from Goodwill. So here's her GT1B. We got this used. It's a phenomenal unit. She's got a little 90 with a 1/4-inch female. This just kind of makes this a little neater, and yeah, it's an extension. She's running XLR, so this is TRS, and she's running mono today. We usually run stereo, but we tried mono today because I'm having some phase issues. But this is powered by this phone bank. We use a USB step-up transformer because this is 5 volts and this wants to see 9. So this is a 9-volt step-up transformer. When you order them, they come negative ground, so you have to take it apart, unsolder this cable, and flip the polarity, solder it back up, and put it back together, and then it will work as it's supposed to. Because guitar electronics is positive ground. So yeah, here's PD's Grande setup. Little 9-volt 5400 mAh lithium ion pack. These are made for portable DVD players. And then this is another little pack. It's got a switch to turn it on. It holds 6 18650 lithium ion cells, and it is wired negative ground. It has a 12 volt, a 9 volt, and a 5 volt port. I run the 9 volt because this is guitar electronics, and I have a cable that's custom made that's a reverse polarity cable. So this is marked clearly, and the cable is marked clearly. And this is 1/4-inch coming down to TRS. So I have a single cable that has another one of these that breaks out to go into the mixer. And it's just neater. Why run 2 cables when you can run 1? I run an external EQ on the, so coming out of the mixer goes to this EQ, I crank the treble, and then it goes back into the power amp, which is here. This is the power amp. Here's our MP3. I cloned the play, rewind, and fast forward buttons to these comically oversized, colorful buttons, and also this jack. So there's a foot switch. I can play and pause on the foot. So here's a e-bike battery that is 36 volts or 38 volt, 42 volts, something like that. When it's charged fully, it's 42, but it's really rated at 36. And then I have some smaller packs that came out of a hoverboard. And last remote, we ran the whole day on this little battery, and it never drained it. Unbelievable how little power the Class D amp requires. This is the main amp. It powers the subwoofer and our PA speakers, and it just, like when we got home today, it only took 15 or 20 minutes to recharge this big e-bike battery, which is a $459 battery we got at Goodwill for $499. So here is the power pack that runs the Vailton GP5. I got another LiPo pack and then a phone. The phone controls the GP5. This is an amplifier I built from scratch. It's got a 3-band clean gain EQ with a master volume and a mid-scoop switch that is a When you set it to the right, it's a bright switch that shifts the upper mid and boosts it. When you set it to the left, it's like better for a scooped mid distortion. So when you're clean, you can hit it to the right. If you're going for high gain with a little scoopy MIDI, you can hit it to the left. And it's gain, bass, mid-range, treble, master volume with a 28 millimeter green LED display. This gives you the voltage. There's a battery pack on the back of the speaker, which I don't know if you recognize this. This is the public school phonograph system with a 12-inch speaker. I built a backing for this and I foamed it with a port, and it's got a Celestion Vauxhall Road, which is some British Celestion speaker that sounded better than everything else I ran in this cabinet. So this is my personal monitor. This is what's coming off of the Vailton GP5. And I love this setup. I am done. This is a stylus, and it's got a magnet, and there's a countersunk rare earth magnet on the top of the amp. So I can keep this here. And if I want to change any settings on the Vailton GP5, I can use this phone to do that with the stylus. I had these batteries up here just in case. Here's a meter just in case. I got a sweat towel. And we use stacking mat, these little roll them out rugs. People are like, why do you have those? Well, there's bird shit in here. We sweep, and we try to keep the stuff clean, and I just like having these to sit over the cables so I don't have a tendency to trip on my cables. Here's the MP3. There's the battery pack for the MP3. This Zoom multitrack we got used. We only paid $100 for it. It's phenomenal. It's a great mixer, but I like running a outboard EQ, the goose, the treble. It also records a stereo master bus onto a memory card, and each individual input has its own separate recording, which is just unbelievably cool for post-processing. Meaning I have to sync the audio to the video because the camera, it's a Canon Vixia camera that you can't see right now. And I just use that audio as a reference because we're only hearing the board mix. And I'm able to process and EQ all of the tracks separately, like studio quality, or the same concept as the studio. Because typically in a situation where it's live and you're using a camcorder to record it, you're getting a stereo mix off the camera, and you're getting wind noise. If there's trains going by, you're hearing the runt, runt. You can see the vans. So this is the setup. It was a little hot today. The garbage tank, I had to move this can 4 times. There was 2 really nice garbage cans that had lids on them that didn't stink even if they had stinky stuff in them. And those disappeared. So I'm suspicious of the business that is next door here. They are parking semis in the lot and taking all of the parking spaces. And there was a yoga event. People showed up to do yoga. And this is public property. This is a park. They own their own land. Why they would be doing yoga in this spot is just beyond me. And the people that were doing the yoga were rude and really loud. They were 20 feet away from our camera, and we had to hear them shouting for 2 hours. Apparently yoga means you stand there, and it sounded like they were just complaining to each other. Apparently that's what yoga is. You stand there with your hands on your hips. And I mean, these women, they looked like fried chicken. They all had unbelievable oily tans. There was a parade of, my point being, you all have your own homes, probably huge manicured lawns. I don't understand why you need to come to the public park to do your yoga. And there's an area in the back where there isn't guys to gawk at you in your yoga pants when you're bending over. But we need to do the yoga right on the where all this stuff is going on. The parade of obese men on their... Oh, that's a sight for sore eyes. I really love that print. I wish it fit me. Yeah. So... I love that Strat. That's a... This is a Squire. It was a black guitar with a white guard, and I stained this neck pumpkin colored and put the lacquer on here. Replaced everything on the guitar. Everything has been replaced except for the nuts that hold the neck on. And it stays in tune better than my American. This is my wife's micro. Ibanez micro. She was like, we already have enough basses. I don't want you to get me another guitar. And then when she played this thing, no, we got a deal on it. It was used. It was in phenomenal condition. I'll give you a tip. When you go to buy a used guitar, bring with a little Phillips screwdriver, a little regular screwdriver, and a Q-tip. Remove the truss rod cover, stick the Q-tip in your mouth, get it wet with your spit, and dip the Q-tip into the truss rod, the Allen wrench receptacle, and pull it out. If you see a bunch of metal shavings stuck to the Q-tip, you may want to take a pass, because there's a good chance someone stripped the truss rod on this guitar, and that is why they're trying to pass it off on you. That one passed the Q-tip test. I actually brought Allen wrenches with to see, and the guy was like, "Whoa, you're really serious." So this is my Court 45. This is the other Strat that I did. This was another black Strat with a white guard. I replaced the guard with a 3-ply because it has the little line there. This has brass accoutrement. It's got big old chunkin' brass saddles and a brass block. It's a black tusk, what do they call it? Graphite nut. And then I've got little wheelie guys here with locking tuners. And I put graphite that I mix with chapstick, and I put that in the nut and in the saddles here. Replace the volume potentiometer with big old honking brass pots. Alnicos, I had to repot this one. I had a guard on here with a gold foil cover that I had to cut circles in to expose. And then it was feeding back, which I think it was just this neck. The neck single needed to be repotted. But I run a much smaller value cap. So this pot here is for these two, and this pot is for this one. And I have a really small value. I was specifically told, whatever you do, never use that value. And that turned out to be the one that is unbelievable magic, where you get a coctois. If you turn this knob all the way down, you get this unbelievable high gain coctois Zappa thing going on that's passive. So yeah, this is a homemade airbrush paint job. I painted this headstock. And did I tell you how much I love that guitar? Well, I also love my Court 45. This is DiMarzio Super Distortion clones, made by a guy who calls himself Guitar Madness, and he makes phenomenal pickups and sells them cheap. But I've replaced the pickups in this guitar multiple times, and it always sounds the same. This guitar, it has a magical tone to it. I don't know why this thing sounds like it does. Anything Nashville-y, anything twangy or like slide, like I cannot get my Strats to do what this does, and I can't get any other guitar that I own to do what this thing does. But man, this is such a, like, I love this guitar. I cannot tell you how much I love, and I hate the neck. I hate the neck on it. It's a big old chunker neck. Kind of hurts my hand to play it, but hey, there's a little guy, Kita's warmy friend that could snuggle up and exchange body heat. So yeah, it was a never-ending parade of tractors, emergency vehicle, and yoga personnel. Here's Petey in his action man stance. Ooh, another one. There he is, ladies and gents. Is he... I mean, what's going on here? This is just, that doesn't... The Wicked Witch of the... what do they call that parade in New Orleans? Not the straight parade. So this is the Grande. Yeah, I know it looks like I should be embarrassed of that. I would encourage you to stick around and check out some of the actual music, and let me know what you think of my tone. I think for, like, when you see live videos of people making music, I think that our tone on the videos is really good. I'll just say that. I would love to know what other people think about the audio quality on the remote music videos. So yes, I use these mats. I put the cables underneath it, and there's a lot of dust in here, and I just like running these. You know, it's safer for me, and it keeps the dust down. So drinking tea today, no alcohol for Petey. I took a little bit of a caffeine pill and had coffee and a tiny piece of a gummy because of my back, and I was just flying high again. And this is you can see something is going on here. This is a panoramic photo. Thank you so much, Gompty. These are really cool. Look at this panoramic photo. So cool. Really, like, I can't tell you how much I love these panoramic pictures. And it's weird because if you understand the geometry of this and then to see it, so yeah, great job with the panoramic today. Whoa. Wide tail. Yeah, Petey, I don't look that freakishly wide at the knees. This is the, like, you look here, it's the panoramic effect. And I'll tell you what, it was I was sweating today. I kept having to change out my headgear and wearing headbands and change my shirt a few times, but it was nothing to complain about. We've had much worse. Ooh, look at that. That's a great action photo. So my Smokey friend showed up on his e-bike, and I had a really nice chat with a guy that we've met who likes to hang out and just enjoy some quality outdoors time. I didn't see him smoking today. Usually he has roll your own cigarettes with like pipe tobacco, so they're really stinky. Like, I hate to be one of those ex-smokers that complains if people chain smoke around me, but if it's one after the other and it's like really can't escape it, it's like, dude. So he didn't even light one up today, and we had a nice conversation. He stuck around for about 15 minutes. Here are those. Oh, look at that. It's 7 p.m. Yeah. And this is the pizza place. Here, wow. Yeah, that's the deep dish. This is a trike and a guy in a dark gray Dodge Challenger of all things. Here's the canal. That's an old bridge. And here's the river. This is where we capsized on the old Crawdad. I had a pedal boat that I ran on this river for 11 years. We ran a 19.5-mile run. And it'd take anywhere from 9 hours to 6 hours, depending on if you had the old nor'easter. Typically, we didn't have the nor'easter, but we did one time, and we boogied. But yeah, this was all full of trees. This was completely blocked, and there was a boat snag, like an old, like abandoned speedboat that was all janked in here, sideways, flipped over. We just got sucked in, and it just picked us up and just flipped the boat. So I had to carry my daughter. She was like 13. Had to carry her. The water was up to my, basically up to my chest, up to my nips, I'll say. And I carried her real slowly. I didn't want to get knocked over and end up in the newspaper. We've been out on this river a couple of times when it was swollen and people died. One time there was 2 people that drowned on the same day that we did a 19-mile trip. But I had a dual pontoon design boat. It was super stable with a 976 pound maximum weight load. And we had that thing weighed down. If you added another quarter pound to it, it would have sunk like the Titanic. So yeah, it was hot today, but we had a phenomenal remote with a parade. We had the tractor parade. And a bugaboo, a warmy friend. He was nice. Would have been a nice buddy for Kita. So I am going to be I'm going to be working on editing this music, the performances. We've got a brand new piece. We only rehearsed it I just wrote it. And it's got a train beat. There's a whole story. I do like a, forgive me, like a trailer park hillbilly. It's a whole thing that I do to introduce this piece of music. So I may edit all of those performances. We did like 8 versions of this song because PD wasn't quite getting it. So I gotta we'll see how that comes together. Hopefully we get a good definitive version of that piece of music. I'm not so sure if we did a good low self-esteem. This is one of the pieces that I was hopeful. I think we blew Mezza Forte. There was, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't remember.
There was a whole group of people shouting over us. Really unfortunate that they would side glare at us and not acknowledge us. Like if you're gonna be in the area with us and we clearly have a tripod and we're going back and forth, we're filming, why you would cohabitate and then yell. Like 2 hours of just gabbing, just running. And there's all kinds of other places you could take your yoga mat. We can't move our PA. Once we set it up, we're there for the day. So it's not so much me being a misogynist. We've had this situation with Moldovians. There was a whole nightmare with the worst group of people, drunken Moldovians. They tried to get me to hand my guitar over to them, and I know I never would have gotten it back. All of them driving Farfignugens, and like they all pulled their vehicles up and started cranking like uchi uchi uchi, like we were here with the kids. The kids were in the band and we're playing, and they just came in and just set up shop with their plum wine and their crystal meth, and then they came for my guitar, and we had to scram on it. We had to pull the plug on it. So ultimately, like I always say, we will prevail. That's all I have to say. I mean, they can take the garbage can, you can park trucks there, you can take all the good parking spots, have all your employees backed in, you know. I mean, who's going to back in? 3 vehicles backed in the best spots. And they had literally taken all of the parking, because the rest, it's a massive lot, is taken up by semi-trailers that are parked long ways in the parking spots. So this is it's the guy who owns the business that's adjacent to this public land. Then they took both of our garbage cans, which were proper. You could have rotten food in them, but it wouldn't stink the place up, because they had like covers over them. Okay? And we've actually emptied those before. We sweep every time we go. We leave it cleaner than when we arrive. And I did speak with the owner multiple times. We have his permission and his blessing to make music there, and he swore they would never mess with us. Well, today there was this yoga thing, and I'm hoping that this doesn't. I'm guessing it was a one-time thing, and that maybe the next time they would realize, oh, there's people here making music. Let's go over here. Let's go just right over there, where we can stand there and complain about our husbands at the top of our lungs and not worry about it picking up on anyone's camcorder that's 15 feet away from us. So yeah, Petey's a misogynist. I'm a Chad. Giga Chad. I'm a racist, bigot, hater, because this group of yoga pants wearing, middle-aged, fried chicken looking, greased women, they all had these tans. They were all like the same. You know what I mean? Like, these are .com. Their husbands are .com guys, you know? Loaded. They all have homes with huge yards. How about you just, there's people here with a PA system they set up. Let's go across the way. There's a beautiful area with lush green grass. And I know why they weren't doing it at the business, because the business had a concert and it was oochie, oochie, oochie. It was like really horrible music. And they were glaring at us. We were playing our brand of music. I had one song where I had the high gain on, and I know we both didn't play that song right because we were nervous, because it had an aggressive guitar sound on it, and they're doing yoga, which I didn't know. Apparently you stand with your hands on your hips and complain about your husband at the top of your lungs. That's how you do yoga. So yeah, PD's a misogynist. You can add that to the list of other horrific things. Never been to Lilith Fair. Yeah, just the worst human being. Racist, bigot, woman hater, you know. And honestly, I know the type. And I won't get into detail. I just know I was the type of young man that didn't jump into bed with every woman that I knew I had the chance. Okay? I didn't. And there's a certain type of feminist that also plays the field and has this thing where they use their advantage to be a woman, but then they're feminists, so all men are evil until it's time for them to go flirt with the Giga Chad type. And when they run into a guy, not a beta, but not an alpha, we'll say a sigma, then they're going to unload and let them know that they're the feminist and you're the problem because no scorn, like no hell hath no fury. The long and the short of it is there's good and bad in all people. Our political system, it isn't even a system anymore. There isn't two sides. There's one side masquerading, and it comes down to us, we the people, are getting played against each other. We, black, white, Arab, Judaism, Islam, Christian, we need to band together before it's just poor people and the elite. That's the reality of it. So, system is like, how am I supposed to, a guy, like, everything that we're fed is through a media that's corrupt. So how are you supposed to even know what reality is? How are you, would you ever think you could even speak on this situation? Ultimately, I have no answers for you. I know people are flawed, deeply flawed. And when I say people, I'm talking this guy. So I try to see the good in other people. I try to see the good in myself. I love making music. This is my path. I'm not talented. I'm not gifted. I see people who have these gifts and this talent. I'm not green with envy. I also know those guys that could really play, well, they're really hard to get along with, and they can't really. They have a hard time piecing three chords together. Something weird about that, being able to really shred and also being able to put together an original piece of music. Those things don't seem to go together very well. So I'm happy with what I do. We're forced to do it outdoors, and this puts us in an uncomfortable position to be exposed to people. And sometimes people can bring out the worst in me. I know if I would show up at a thing where people have obviously put in an incredible amount of effort and time to set something up, and there's a hot mic, I'm not going to stand there and shout. I'm not going to turn my radio up and, well, I never heard this music, so I'm going to play my own different, FM 91.1 country. Crank it up on my stock stereo. Good example is this expert joking smoker riding his e-bike. This guy, he was side glaring us. He was there just glaring at us and on his phone and chain smoking. And the next time, that was 2 hours of us being unbelievably uncomfortable because he just smoked us out. And the next time we were there, I got mad when he pulled up, and I said, "Guy," he started in with the cigarettes again, and I said, I'm I'm going to have to say I can't handle it. You know, like, look at how much work we've gone to set this up. Can you please find somewhere else to chain smoke? You know? And I said, maybe it would have been different if you would have said hi or something, but we just really made us uncomfortable, and you're chain smoking. So he was there again today. He pulled up and he was friendly to me, and he didn't light a single cigarette, and we ended up having like a 20-minute conversation where I bonded with the guy. So we ended up short for time. We were unable to accomplish our goals. Basically, the entire remote was blown. We didn't get to go back and redo versions of the songs that I knew we had blown the first version because of all the extra time I had to spend and inferior performance because of the yoga thing, which the woman came up on a cart. They were all there. They showed up. They were there for an hour, and then a woman came in a cart that's from the business. So this wasn't people from the public who were going to use the park like we were using the park. This was from the business, and they're using the park area. And they stole both of the good garbage cans and replaced it with a single stinky can, just a 55-gallon drum with the lid cut off. And they're parking semis all in the public parking, blocking all of the spots. The spots that are remaining are crammed full of people who have backed into the spots because they're employees. My wife gets mad at me and starts playing counterpoint, saying, you don't know that they're employees. Of course they're employees. They were here when we got here, and they're here when we left. They're backed in. So you kind of have to understand the position that I get put in and the amount of work that goes into this. Like, I have no right to be there other than I asked the owner, and he told us they would never mess with us, and he loved the idea of the fact that we would be there making music. That it's part of his adventure. You know, the business is an extreme adult theme park, and I don't mean adult like that adult. I mean zip lines. There's a drop-in track for mountain bikes, and they do. It's this crazy climbing walls and zip lines. So it went from a few years, everything was good, and then all of a sudden this year they stole the cans, trucks pull up and block all of the spots. What few spots are left that are close to they have a gate, so we have to carry the stuff. And all of those spots are taken by employees. So at that point, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna be upset, and I'm gonna voice that opinion. And this is all stuff that Petey would never do. Okay? I'm not the guy that's gonna sneak or cut in line or take the last cookie. I'll split the last cookie into 6 pieces and divvy it out and take the small one. That's the type of guy that I am. And when I see other people doing, you know, me first in the gimmies, it just brings out the worst in me. That's the best way I could put it. So I try to understand how it's not a flawed system. It's effed, and that they're not deeply flawed. They're majorly effed. People are. You know? This is why some people, they have a thing with animals. Or they'll develop this weird thing with their dog or their cat. And that's because there's nothing like the unconditional love, especially of a cat. Dogs are kind of like, you know, you could beat them, and they're, a cat. If you cut a rank fart when they're kittens, they're never going to trust you. Much to say if you do something mean to it. Cats never forget. That's the unfortunate thing about going to your shelter and you pick up a cat. You don't know. Maybe that cat, when it was a kitten, there was a male who raised its hand to that little kitten, who hit him, was mean to him. And what you're gonna deal with is, for the rest of your life on this earth with that animal, anytime you go, the cat thinks, oh, he's fine, he's gonna do it again. So it's just one of those things. You have to understand. You have to, be patient and weigh it out. A lot of times it's better not, just keep your mouth shut. Just duck and cover. Hope for the best. Here I am. Sorry. I'm not. I'm a feminist too. Go ahead and do your yoga. Because I really wanted to go over and be like, what the do you think you're doing? I need your credentials. The person who's getting paid an hourly wage, who organized this event on public property. Because no. You didn't buy this part of the park. This part of the park is for the public. And the reason that I'm snooty about it is there's all kinds of other places they could do it. But they didn't want to do it anywhere else because they had a uchi, some kind of concert or something going on, and they thought, well, we can't do our yoga if these rap guys that are thrusting their junk or whatever. I don't know why they would have wanted to do it where we were, because there's a tractor parade, there's all kinds of guys fishing, and here they are bending over with their yoga pants. Go, guys. They were all unbelievably, they look like fried chicken. They're oiled, like dark tan. I'm guessing these are the wives of .com millionaire type guys. All of them have probably huge homes with huge backyards. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? There's a PA system here. There's a camera. We're walking back and forth. Every 3 minutes after the song ends, we go and reset the camera. And you're 15 feet away from the camera shouting over our music. Shouting over it. I didn't know yoga meant you stand with your hands on your hips and, run your mouth complaining about your husband for 2 hours, but apparently that's what it is. So at some point it affected my performance. It caught us short. We had to take a huge lunch break. I ended up getting sidetracked talking to expert for a half hour, which that was good. I'm glad that I patched things up with him. The last time I talked to him, I was like, dude, I gotta ask you to find somewhere else to chain smoke today. We're downwind. We're videotaping this. So now that I know that guy, he's harmless, and I patched it up with him, I just felt better about that, because I certainly don't have a right to be like, we were here first, cut back, you're going to have to go. But the cigarette thing, he chain smokes, and he's like right, and we're in a pavilion, so it's like nasty. You take with the good with the bad, right? And hey, you got to know me a little better, find out about how much of a huge misogynist I am, how much I hate women who do yoga. Right? Isn't that what it is? Petey's a giga chad, woman hater. Never been to Lilith Fair. People love to twist the knife. I'm the one with the hard drive full of footage and all the audio tracks. Now I'm going to have to go through that. I updated my editing suite. I've got all new video OFX plugins, a bunch of new state-of-the-art stuff to play with. And I've been figuring out the mixer. Not only does it record a stereo 2-track master mix, I get individual tracks. So I've got the drums. In this case, we ran a mono bass because I had phase cancellation issues, and then a 2-track stereo mix of the guitar. So I can process each thing individually with its own separate EQ curve, meaning the bass guitar lives around 80, okay? This is a number of the frequencies. So the drum track, I can go where that 80 is and scoop it down, like cut the 80 out. And then where the bass is, I can goose it. So now all of a sudden my kick drum isn't fighting audio real estate for the bass. They stay out of each other's way. So on top of that, I can fix mistakes. If I make either one of us makes an error and it's a one-time thing, usually we will, there'll be a dead note. Whatever it may be, I can cut that out and go to the part of the song where we played it properly, copy that and paste it in. So then when you're watching one of our performance videos, one of these remote music videos, if you'll see a scene where I'll go over, it'll pan over and it'll focus on my wife, that may be because I made a mistake and I don't want you to see me go like make that stink face when you make a goof. So I've got my work cut out for me. Like I said, I'm the guy with the hard drive full of these video performances. We had a new song. We didn't really have that much time to rehearse it. It's a knee slapper. It's a train beat, a shuffle beat with the brushes. And I got into this Country Boy, Alabama, this whole thing where I was doing this persona, trying to be funny. I gotta see, maybe I'll edit all of those together and have like a 15-minute celebration of the trailer park, and then we'll go into this new piece called Slow Train to Alabama, Donald Trump Space Force Alabama. We're talking drank, already gone. You say drink, we're talking drank, already gone. So 12 snack. You got a guy used to do this 12 snack. And it was, I guess he had already consumed a 12-pack of beer and it was only a snack for him. He was just beginning to schedule his meal of alcohol for the day in the trailer park. That guy, he was the kind of guy, just golden-hearted, simple man. But he could break a man's jaw with a single swift blow, and I saw him do it. Great guy, lovable, love breaking people's jaw with one punch. He was a demolition derby driver, and I made the mistake of getting in a car with him. One of these, this is a demo. It's a some kind of old Mopar with a real heavy frame. so it can withstand the most impact. And these guys, they live for impact. So I was a little young and a little dumb, and I was on my BMX bike in the back of the track back by the train tracks where they work on. It's basically they just drink and smoke meth. No, this was back in the day. It was probably just weed. But I got in the car with this guy, and he gave me what's known as a hell ride, which is where he tries to bring you as close to death as possibly can without injuring himself. So that impersonation, we'll call this guy, we'll call him Jake James. He was a James boy. And that came out today on video. I've got a bunch of footage of me doing this character before we went into this slow train to Alabama, Donald Trump Space Force. It's going to be a good one. I can't wait to edit that for you guys. I'll probably cut all that out. I don't want to I don't want to alienate a whole nother demographic. Sure no one's watching this. You guys hug your pets. It's what I always love to say. Should have a bunch of good music coming shortly. I'm not in any big rush to edit this stuff, but more importantly is that you hug those pets of yours in peace.